2024, months before a planned summer wedding, Rivercrest Elementary School teacher Madison Bergman was sending tens of thousands of inappropriate text messages to one of her young male students. Those messages contained graphic and vulgar communications, often involving sexual conversations. In December, she was sentenced to 6 years in a Wisconsin state prison by a St. Croix County judge, wailing throughout the proceeding, shocked that a female offender like herself actually received a prison sentence for such conduct. The victim's father addressed the court, talking about how the abuse in the criminal case devastated the life of his son and his family. Far removed from the glittery portrayals by Western society that seeks to normalize relationships between juvenile males and adult women, this father offered a devastating indictment on society that seeks to normalize this type of predatory behavior. He discussed how his son's entire life has been negatively impacted, constantly bullied in school, filled with anxiety and fear, and repeated reminders of the abuse that transpired.
I'm the father of the victim, and trying to capture the breadth and depth of the damage caused by Madison is impossible. There's no way in a few minutes to really fully convey how far her actions have reached into my son's life and into our family's life, but I will do the best to give a clear window into what we now live with every day. So, since this happened, my son was just kind of a normal kid, doing normal kid things, playing sports, but now he has to live with the consequences of her decisions. He faces things where he gets bullied at school on a regular basis. Even, over a year later, they whisper as he walks through the hallway, says, "Is that the kid? Oh, is that the kid that got his teacher in trouble?" These are the types of things that this 11-year-old has had to deal with. And then he had anxiety, and he's had to go to counseling for that. So anxiety, nightmares, constant stress, constantly wondering, where did his simple childhood go? And I think you've seen what he's put in his letter, so I'm not going to reiterate what he said. But then the other, even little things he's lost, right? So his phone, because the phone was weaponized against him. So other kids are looking at things and sharing things, and he can't participate and has to explain why he doesn't have a phone and have access to one right now. And this kid's an athlete as well, right? So he missed his last grade school track meet. And for some people might say, oh, well, he missed the grade school track meet. But, sports is this kid's life. He is that kid where you say sports is life, that's this kid. He usually wins all the events. He looked forward to it. We all looked forward to it. But we had to say it was not safe for him to be there, emotionally and otherwise. Because of everything that was going on, because we are in a small community. And these things impact him. And they keep following him. So through middle school, it's been a lot of the same. Passing between classes, he's got to find different ways to walk so he doesn't have to avoid people. There has to be accommodations in place for him so he can exit when something's triggering. And even most recently, and the thing I wanted to underscore too is this isn't a past tense thing. This is the last 7 days. I'm not going to go into this ad nauseum, but just that I want to kind of convey the everyday impact. So we go to basketball practice, it's scheduled. All of a sudden we look at the schedule. It's a schedule at Rivercrest Elementary where he went. The last time both he and I were there was the day Ms. Bergman got taken out of the school, right, and pulled out of there. So very triggering. But then as a dad, I have to ask him, again, are you okay having practice there? I've got to trust his judgment. I have to then think about, do I ask the coaches and give them a heads up? Because this isn't something that we necessarily want broadcast in our small community, right? And then the next day, he's kind of off. And then I'm like, is it because he's just a kid? Or is it because something was triggering for him? So there's this whole cascade of things that you would think oh, we're going to basketball practice. And it gets exacerbated by this. And this was last week. This wasn't, right after. These things still come up. The other things that happen as well is driving home with my daughters, because this impacts the family. We take a call. Don't know who it is. It goes on speakerphone in my truck. It turns out it's the school. There's an incident at the school. It turns out in reading class, there was a topic about a teacher that coerced a student, and now it was going through the legal system. The teacher overreacted, and it became this huge scene. And all of a sudden, he got pulled out of the classroom right away. Then I get a call, and then my daughter, because we didn't know who it was from, and the teacher just went in and blurted all these things out. I'm not faulting them, but in this impact statement of my family, these things pop up. Clearly, that changes the dynamic of that whole family interaction, and all of a sudden, all my priority And all my time that's allocated to my 6 kids gets reallocated to try and resolve this. And then at that same night, then I get a call from the principal. So this creates a dynamic not only in the family, but in the community, because now everybody's looked at differently, viewed differently. And these are just basic everyday things that shouldn't be happening with an athlete that's a straight A student, with kids that are kind of upstanding kids in the community. And then even the other things, again, within this last week, physical therapy. You go to a physical therapy session, no big deal. But now it's a female physical therapist. And because my son only confides in me, I'm super sensitive about these things, and we have an agreement in how we interact. So then this, what's supposed to just be a physical therapy appointment, now becomes a whole thing. Because I'm like, are you okay with it? Are you sure? Right? And so these things that might seem trivial, might seem like, oh, water under the bridge, it happened a while ago. I mean, this is just, the last 7 days is what our reality is like all the time, and it affects the family and it affects how things go. The last 2 things, and then I'll try and be brief as I can, is just around, so there's that, right? So just this impacts the whole family. And then, I reread the text, right? Because I have access to all these things too, because they're on my son's phone. And the thing that to me is like, about all this and why I wanted to say something and why my son wanted me to say something is, in his own words, he's like, I have to live with this forever. He's like, whatever punishment she receives should be forever. Right? I mean, he doesn't necessarily know what that means, right? The whole context of it. But again, when I reviewed the text too, it's very deliberate. Talking about touching his leg, talking to my 11-year-old son about her period, talking about his erections. I mean, like very, very, to me, it's like very, very disturbing stuff. It wasn't like a oops, like a fleeting thing. It was over a window of time and only got intercepted by parents to kind of cut it off. And so that's the other part in looking at like, what do we want out of these things? And so what I was asking for, humbly and respectfully, is that we impose the strongest sentence that you believe is appropriate, including the maximum amount of time of confinement that's possible. And only you can determine what that is. But I think the sentence has to reflect the seriousness of the harm. We have to protect other children in this community, and then recognize what's also been taken from my son, because this will follow him and the family for the rest of our lives. So I appreciate that, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.